what I think is important, especially for women, is removing the notion of beauty from outside to inside. You know, who you are values much more than what you look like.
Don't expect people to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. If they do, that's just a bonus. You need to believe in yourself even when no one believes in you. In fact, the hard work you put on yourself is an indication of the belief that you have on yourself. Don't expect people to invest in you, in your work, in your project, when you cannot invest in yourself. Because the world and people always follow the direction of the investments that you make on yourself. Don't come to the negotiation table with nothing. Bring something to show the work that you have put in yourself. Because your belief are those principles that you are not willing to compromise, even if people do not support you. Your belief are those principles that you will not let go of, even if you have to stand alone. Don't expect people to see in you what you do not see in yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such a great honor that I get to be in conversation with this life force right here in front of me. One of the most amazing people that I have followed her work for some time. She's a poet, a musician, she's an author, a social activist, but she's an artist, if you like, because she epitomizes what it means to be an artist. Mamia Ntsiki Mazwai, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Max.
It's such a great honor, man, to always have conversations with people like you. We've had a conversation on radio, but today we are here and I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. Me and my ancestors are thanking you deeply.
We say Nkamako. How have you been? The work you're doing, we know you're a social activist. How are you feeling? What space are you in right now?
I am overworked and underpaid.
A lot of people will relate with you.
Yeah. You know, busy, man. There's a lot going on in our country. And a lot of it is quite disheartening, you know, even like the VAT increase.
Yeah.
I don't think that Black people fight hard enough for their rights. I don't know, we seem to have lulled down, or I just wish we were the generation of the 70s and the Blacks of before who knew how to stand up for themselves. So some things are really frustrating me.
Yeah. Does this describe the state of the country right now? Like if you were to be asked the state of the country, you know, how it affects, you know, our vibrations, our mental space. Does this capture where we are as a country right now and how you feel? I mean, you saying the 70s. I always say, I wish I had lived my prime in the 90s. I don't know. Is this a reflection of what is going on right now?
What's going on right now is very sad because Abelungu have tamed us and we have become tame and retutsi about things that we should be speaking about, you know. But Baruna are not living well, like there isn't enough on food on the table and we don't talk about these things. Even the Black middle class is getting smaller and smaller and people are losing their houses. You know, there are things that conversations we're not having. And I think sometimes people are ashamed to own up, I'm broke. So then they just suffer in silence. And I think that's what's the most dangerous thing for the majority in the country at the moment.
Yeah. You know, I'm listening to you and something just comes in my mind to say in the early 2000s, people had hope. Well, even when things were bad, people had hope. No. We will get there.
Yeah.
But now where we are, there's no hope for going forward.
No. And I don't know what it's going to take or what people need to happen because people just they're just drowning, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know what conversations we're supposed to be having or what we're supposed to doing to just like wake up the Black nation to be like, actually, you've got the right to live and to live well in God's world, you know? We're the most unequal country in the entire world.
100%.
That means that something is wrong. It's not healthy. The way that we are suffering, it's not healthy. Other countries have got free healthcare, have got free schooling, things that we don't have. And the schooling is a good level, you know? So why do we not feel good enough for good things?
Aren't you inspired by the rise in consciousness? We see the conversations that we've never had. Aren't you inspired by that? I mean, even politically now, some political parties who are trying to bring more consciousness into politics.
Yes. It's so funny because when I was younger, when I was having these conscious conversations, I used to be attacked quite a lot. And it's, I don't know, I'm in two minds about it, because as much as I'm glad that we're finally all on the same page, but I'm just like, wow, but guys, it's a bit late now because a lot has happened. And because they say that when you're on the wrong train, the sooner you get off is the better, because there's a shorter distance back. Now we've been on the train for quite a long time, and now people, so I don't know. South Africa scares me where we are at, and I think that makgowa a rona a sele, and I think that there are conversations that need to be had. I think that, for example, we need to re-educate everybody about the history of South Africa, because white people like to gaslight us about where we come from and why we're still victims, because they're saying, well, we're acting like victims, but they don't mention the fact that they never gave anything back. So obviously I'm still a victim because you haven't given back what you've taken from me. So it's difficult. Even makgowa a rona need to be culturally programmed into being African. When they say when you're in Rome, you act like the Romans, why do they feel as if when they're in Africa, they can act like Europeans, So there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen for Africans and for the European settlers.
A few years back, I was talking to a pastor. We're in a radio interview, and he said, for a long time, we have tried to Christianize Africans. Maybe now is the time to Africanize Christianity.
Yeah.
Basically what you're talking about, the adaptation, get into the space and understand what Africans do. What is it that Africans value? But at this stage of your life, Ntsiki, you are a woman. You are a matured woman.
I'm a 44-year-old woman.
You are a 44-year-old
Yes.
woman. I want you to take us through the stages of womanhood. And I'll tell you why. Because when you are at a certain stage, you see the world in a certain way.
Yeah.
But as you have progressed, you've seen all the stages.
Yeah.
If you are to talk to the younger ones, they live in their totally different world. But as a 44-year-old woman, what stages of womanhood that every young girl will go through to get to where you are right now?
Well, okay, so I still have other stages to go. So
yes,
I can't claim,
I'm saying here.
Yes, I can't claim the wisdom of, because then I'm still learning and
100%,
figuring it out. But what I think is important, especially for women, is removing the notion of beauty from outside to inside. Who you are values much more than what you look like. So you need to work on your character. I find that women are very obsessed with their looks and their hair and the face beads and the whatevers, but they don't nurture who they are, So you'll find nasty stories where they act really desperate for men, and they do the little snacks, and they force themselves onto men. Sometimes there's a dignity that's missing from our young women, where, just that thing where they fight for men and stuff. Just it's like embarrassing, ladies. Don't do that. So that has everything to do with how you feel about yourself. So work on your self-esteem. be dignified in yourself, you know. So I feel that a lot of young people have got misplaced values. So the older we're getting, we're realizing, I mean, we're all different, and the world is for us to experiment, obviously, and to try out different things. But the older we're getting is that we're realizing that the slay queen is not sustainable. You know, we're realizing that the older they're getting, reality setting.
Yeah.
You know, so it means that they invested a lot in something that's replaceable. I mean, even Bomihlali are getting old now. Like, new ones are coming in. So it means that that's not it.
Yeah. In a world that rewards outward beauty, how do you convince young women not to invest so much in that part? I mean, it's rewarded everywhere.
I know.
For you to get the job, you know, in rallies everywhere.
I know.
You know, sex sells.
I know. But it's just that we don't tell the other side as well, you know? Beauty can be a curse as well. You always find that the women who are exposed or vulnerable to sexual assault or abuse are usually the pretty girls. And these are conversations that we don't have. That there's a dark side to beauty. So it's a scary world to live in. Where I completely agree, where outward beauty is rewarded and you get to be in the VIP section. But I think that you must remember that that's not it, you know? Yeah, we have to stop playing for the long game.
I was listening to this conversation ke batle ke re Ntsiki Mazwai ya ga Kanyembao. When she's taking them through the stages that she went through when she was an it girl.
Yes.
And she was saying exactly the same thing you are saying, that it does not last. But what would you say to a girl or a woman who says, while it lasts, I need to cash in. It must do things for me while it lasts?
No, life is about longevity. So that's like saying, okay, I've got 50 Rand today. I'm going to use it all up today. How do you make that 50 Rand last you for the next 50 years is how you're supposed to figure it out. That's why it's so important. I mean, but it's difficult. I mean, we're living in this Instagram life, the life that you feel tired, that your face beat. So it's difficult to switch off. And especially when you're online, you're comparing yourself to all these people. So I think that discipline is in being conscious of that social media is not real life. And people don't look the way that they say they look online.
Yeah.
You know? So just being real and going back to just our reality, you know, being real, accepting yourself for who you are. I mean, it makes me sad when I see the women, they still aren't over this weave and wigs thing. And it's sad because their hairlines are gone and they don't feel good enough about themselves. And I'm just like, this is not a way to live, guys. You know that you could be living a life where, like other races, you just wake up and you feel beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're the only race that doesn't wake up and feel beautiful. That's sad.
Would you say maybe this culture is accelerated by lack of role models, or that's what they see because the people that they're looking up to, there's now the baddie culture, everyone, it's so cool. It sounds so cool and it's been promoted. I mean, when you go to Instagram, when you just go to that, but search, all the naked women come out there.
Yep.
So is it lack of role models?
Yeah. I do think that we've got bad role models. I do. They push the wrong things. They push booze. They push fake hair. I do definitely think it's the wrong role model. And I think that it was also deliberately created like that.
Yeah.
Because if you distract the black woman, then
the whole nation.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think we're just caught up in that. And I'm hoping that Because there was a time, if you remember, there was a rise of soul sisters.
Yeah.
And when now we were strengthening as Batwabantu. And then the capitalists were like, no. The blacks can't feel good about themselves. Let's put in the weave girls.
Yeah.
let's elevate the weave girls so that the strong black woman is suppressed.
Yeah. No, you are right. I mean, I'm thinking kanako tsabo basetsana makhalimele. You know, they come in making the magazine. Your Carol Bowers came in. You know, the type of a profile, you know, of women, your Connie Ferguson coming. But then you no longer have that anymore.
Now we've got Bowandi Ndlovu.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So like, and the funny thing is these girls are beautiful and they've got beautiful souls, but their values are just not in the right place.
Yeah.
You know, even this whole thing with BBLs and you're just like, black girl, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong?
A fundamental question, what's wrong? Now, there's this culture of dependency that our society has created, that a woman must depend on. Okay, historically we know it has been created back then, patriarchy, 100%. But today, the sort of entitlement that is there for the black child to say, indoor must, you know, they must do this, while we are fighting the scourge of gender-based violence, femicide, and all other things. It's scary now. We no longer have genuine relations. When I ask you out for coffee, for a date, these girls, they're expecting something. They can be bought with money. The saddest thing is a modern girl, modern woman today can be bought with money. That's so sad.
It's a mess. It's a mess. And the thing is that in its purest form, the African family is about the woman nurturing the home and the man bringing the provisions
100%.
in its purest form. But it hasn't been, it's been abused, you know. The women got clever, the men got clever. So men abused their power, their economic power. And then women started abusing their power of what they bring. I always wonder what we actually bring to the table, but I don't know what it is, but the men still love us anyway, so it's okay.
Maybe bring, I don't know. There's something about women.
I know. It's so weird. Even me, I'm just like...
You bring good sex, but apart from that, apart from sex, you bring something.
There's something, but the thing is, it's spiritual. That's why you can't measure
absolutely.
it.
In fact, there's this conversation I was having with my friend, to say, you know, as a man, and we're being honest, but I'm talking from that purest form. You know, when you have money, Ntsiki, you can't enjoy that money unless you have a woman this woman will add value to this money. This woman will make it, will bring value actually to that. But
even when you guys have flats, like when you got your house, it's a house. Before, when a woman walks in, it becomes a home. Same time, there's an energy that comes in, there's warmth. So maybe that's what it is, that we can't quantify the spiritual, because we are the holders of the spiritual energy. So because you can't point it and it's not a material thing, then it looks like women are not bringing anything. But I think that is what we're talking about when we say we have to harness our feminine energy.
100%.
You know, as women, because that is what we bring to the table. And I do think it's wrong. This entitlement is wrong. You know, you can't just expect a man to, but at the same time, we love being spoiled as women. Like it's so it's just it's a difficult conversation to have. And one day I hope to have a conference for men and women to unpack these issues so that we can figure out, Uguti, how do we meet each other halfway and how do we treat each other better? Because somehow we've lost each other as black men and black women.
I think the ugliest part of it now is that it has become a transaction.
Yes.
And as we transact, we are losing the consciousness in it. We are losing the spirituality in it. Because even when we connect together, the energies that we must share, you know, the vibrations that we must enjoy, that must elevate us, are suppressed. Because now it has become just a transaction. So it's a very sad thing, to be honest, that women can be bought, young girls as young as from high school, to be honest. You know, there was this time I was driving, and then these boys, 15-year-old, they were admiring the car. this guy is nice. You know, nka jabana ka koloi e. But if ke tshwere e, I don't even have to do anything. I was worried that boys at the age of 15, they're already mindful of the fact that girls can be bought.
Yeah.
Now it's a popular culture.
Yeah. We've become very materialistic, eh? This culture of consumerism, what Westernization has done to Black people, it's so sad. Because these are not things of value and they don't bring wealth or they don't grow us as a community. So it's scary. It's very scary, the place that we're at. That's why we have to just unlearn everything. Yeah. I wish that, in fact, and then start from scratch again. And if we are all just going to struggle for a while, it's fine. We can struggle for a while. But rinse di label, rinse di koloi, rinse, all these things that are perceived as wealth. If we could just be us and just figure ourselves out.
And because of that, we have lost true friendships, the value of true relationships or relations, because we don't relate from that state of innocence. We don't enjoy each other anymore.
No.
Because the indoor must, it's okay, you give this, but you also have an expectation. There ain't such a thing as a free lunch. There's something that you're expecting to tell.
Of course. Linda, if I'm putting money in something, I'm going to want, of course, So that's why what you're saying is so important. Or we've lost the connection. We've lost our friendship. We've lost the soul of the Holy Trinity. And when I say the Holy Trinity, I mean the Father, the Mother, and the Child, which was our original Holy Trinity. So how do we go back to the family structure and rebuild? Right? Because that's what's broken. It's the Black family.
And what is suffering is the African family structure now, because we no longer have families.
No, we don't.
In Africa. Yep. And with this, at this rate, I don't see us building families anymore.
And the other races do have their families.
Exactly.
That's what's sad.
Yeah.
Because it's important. That is it. That's why we're here. Communities are made up of families. So if we are broken as families, that means the whole community is broken.
Yeah. And men are not innocent, because in fact, men are the sponsors of this culture. Yes. Men sponsor, you mentioned the BBLs. It's so ugly, this thing. Like, it's so ugly.
Men are the ones that women are trying to impress. So... we're all trying to impress each other with the wrong things. I don't know our values, Also, maybe the structure of spirituality, and I don't want to say the church, because the church is also quite destructive in its own ways.
Yeah.
But what we have lost is our sense of spirituality, because that's where our dignity will come from. That's where our principles will come from. That's where our morals and our values are going to come from. So the fact that we don't have we're not looking after our spirituality is actually the main problem.
I come from the part of the African spirituality where it is believed that God is a Black woman.
Yeah.
In fact, the highest divine principle is feminine. But if we have that understanding, everything is going to shift.
Yeah.
That when I relate with you as a woman, you are the creator.
Yeah.
You are the mother ma. I actually rely on, but also women being aware of the highest divine principle and responsibility that they carry, maybe is going to change.
I think so, because it is that women don't have a self-esteem at the problem. That is the problem. And also men, I think that the African man has been emasculated by the system.
Yeah.
And as a result, he takes out his anger and frustration on the Black woman. And that's how things are breaking down, because when that happens, because naturally men are stronger than us, there's no way that I'm going to be able to fight you back.
True,
True. So in the past, it was easier because men knew that they have power and their own type of power. and they gave women their space to have their own type of power. So now when men have their power taken away from them, they need a space to exert their power.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of it goes back to African spirituality. Once we give each other our own roles, because we can see that God is a woman, because when we speak of single parent homes, it's usually women.
True.
It's women raising the families.
True.
It's not the men.
Yeah.
So
I think when talking about the power dynamics, religion has played a very ugly role as well. Christianity, for instance, where you are told a woman was created
out of a rib
from a man and for a man. So a woman exists solely to serve the man. That narrative,
it's
whereas
ridiculous.
The African cosmology tells us something different, that we exist because of the great goddess.
Guys, you come out of our wombs.
100%.
You come, like biology, reality, you come out of our wombs. So how is it that there's a confusion about ribs and whatever? I mean, it's like questioning breathing and oxygen. You come out of our wombs.
Very, very, very sad indeed. Now, today, what do you say to somebody who says the enemy of a black man, in fact, a black woman has become an enemy of a black man?
It's true. I mean, when you see how we're treating each other, it's true, you know. We've lost each other, and I don't know where we lost each other. People love to blame feminism and stuff, but I'm like, no, I don't quite think that's it, because we come from a matriarchal line.
Yeah.
So what did Westernization do to us? I mean, right now there's a conversation about the first name basis thing, where young people are starting to call us on our first name basis, where like some 25-year-old will be like, "Hi, Ntsiki," and I'm just like, no, I'm not Ntsiki to you, Ntsiki, you know? And someone was saying that as part of evolution, we're evolving. No, we are erasing our culture. This is not evolution. And the reason that we had to have these prefixes is so everybody knows their lane and there's a respect. And that's why, I mean, Makhoa are not they're not known for respect.
No, true.
Right? And we are known for respect. And how we are known for respect is that we had these things in place that'll ensure that there's a respectable conversation going on between us. So that's why we would have Buti or Ndade, Mang, or, you know, you don't just uzgalele nje phezu komntu. And we know this. You know how it feels when a young person calls you. It feels wrong.
You know, today you look at the middle class or highly successful men in sports, in science, many of them go for white girls because of this narrative. I'm not sure whether it's a fact or what, that a black woman is more likely to destroy a black man. I mean, in soccer, I look at these boys in Europe. When you look at, they all marry, or most of them, they marry white girls.
But you know what?
Business girls. Like highly successful, even DJs in this country, they are now moving towards that direction.
But it's also because it has economic value. Because Makhoa control the economy. If you associate yourself Lilo Khoa, then you're going to be protected.
100%, yeah.
So let's also start tackling about the economy. You know, the fact that we have no access to the economy means that none of us are ever going to be Khotman. We're always going to have to look up to Makhoa to be looking after us, you know? So we're not fighting the right battles. When they gave us political freedom, they didn't give us economic freedom. And economic freedom is by far greater than political freedom.
Yeah. Is this what we're talking about, what we would term toxic feminism?
You know, the thing about feminism is that it's a tricky space because it's been weaponized and it's been demonized. Feminism in its essence talks about equality, gender equality, right?
Yeah.
So it's saying to you, my voice is just as important as your voice in the home, in the workspace.
Yeah.
But much like the race conversation, right? Like when women want equality, men feel uncomfortable, just like when black people want equality, white people feel uncomfortable. So whoever is in power gets intimidated by this conversation, right? And I think that feminism has been demonized and made something toxic when it's not. We come from a place where Mahoa actually are the ones that came with patriarchy and Christianity. Before they came, Rona, we were coexisting. We knew go to the men go do this, the women go do this, and it was, but when Christianity and patriarchy and white people came, they came and said, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and they erased the feminine energy, right? It's freaking psycho. Right? What's the Holy Spirit now?
Exactly.
So, and it's the son. Where's the daughter? Where's the mother? So, basfundise mikhuba, basically. And that's the enemy.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily feminism.
But where has it become toxic? Because in our conversation now, it's toxic. The things we've been talking about, it's toxicity in its highest form.
But that's not feminism. Like I say, feminism is, in its essence is just about equality. It's about equity and making sure that everybody's got access to everything. It's not a man thing. Like, remember, feminism had to exist because, remember, men used to be the only ones who could get into the workplace, or men could be the only ones who can do this. So we had to have a response. Like, no, we also exist. And it's easier for men to kind of build those things because you're stronger than us.
True.
That's why it's so important. The measure of a man is so important because it's knowing that you're physically stronger than this person, but being responsible about it and not abusing your power. So that's actually where the what we need to figure out.
Yeah.
Because men are stronger. So what are you going to do about the fact that you are stronger than us? But however, we are your equals.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that?
Toxic culture. Maybe we need to call it toxic culture. If you have a boy and a girl, the girl in this culture will invest every little thing in looking a certain way.
Yeah.
But for a boy to survive in this world, you need to have money.
Yep.
So you need to invest so much in bettering yourself, increasing the opportunities of making that money and becoming successful.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a highly unequal society. We won't have families. We won't have unions of two people coming together anymore.
It's scary. It's scary what money and consumerism has done to us. It's scary. Because for us, it wasn't about that. Our focus used to be the family, I guess.
Yeah.
So the man would just go emasimini, and then you bring back what I need to build the home. And that's how and then we would marry and then marry clans to just make our clans bigger. Now there's this individualistic, money-driven focus.
Yeah.
We're in trouble, so Max. I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah. What do you say to women who say, I don't date broke niggas, I don't date for love? In fact, broke is another thing. No one wants a broke person.
Yes.
But who say, I don't date for love, I date for money.
That's psycho. It's completely psycho. It's the same way how men call women ugly or, it's just, we've lost the essence of Ubuntu.
Yeah.
We've lost ourselves. I mean, we've lost ourselves as Black people.
Have you been to a club, nightlife, like recently? It's scary.
Thank God I haven't, but I can see on social media.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah, the tables full of girls.
Yes.
Waiting.
Sponsored girls.
Yes.
For them, no. And
I know.
the highest spender, the secured of the girls.
I know.
And these girls now, they've got names, they're hosts, they're what, but any guy can have that girl.
And the host is another word for sex worker, basically.
Exactly.
So the rise of sex work.
Have we dignified prostitution?
That's what's
in this
happening.
culture?
That's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. Is that we were just putting it nicely. It's called hosting now, but it's sex work. So it's scary, but at the same time, sex work has been there for centuries and centuries and centuries. It's just that it was under the carpet. Right now, we are just, it is what it is. It's scary. I don't know what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, Black people, you're so broken and you've lost yourselves. And it's because you're so fragmented, and it's because some of you think you're better than other Blacks.
Yeah.
What are your values? You know, where's the value system? Makgowa a tlile, and they came with how they do things, and now we've picked up pornography, we've picked up dilo tse snacks nje that we never used to do before. So just acknowledging the fact, it's a time for us to look at what did the Westerners bring to us, and how do we now start moving away, and what's our counter to that? What do we need to do? Do we need to meet every Saturdays as men and women and start conversating and building our communities again? You know, what do we need to do? Because right now we're just being fed these things that are breaking us down even further.
Yeah, no, tough challenges that we are facing as a society. And I think one of the problems, we have exported our idea of beauty.
Yeah.
No, imported.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
We have imported our idea of beauty. America and the West, they come and throw this idea of beautiful. I mean,
Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Beyonce was the most toxic thing to ever happen to the Black.
Yeah.
Ever. And it happened over a long period, and the most toxic thing that ever happened to a Black girl.
You know, in the past, this model type as are defined by the Westerners was the it thing where most of the girls wanted to be slim.
Yep.
Now with the BBLs now.
Yep.
We go back to who and as Africans, we don't need that because we've always had that. It's actually our idea of having, you know,
we are the standard.
Absolutely.
We are the standard. We are the standard of beauty, and it's because it's not in the media. They don't overtly say it in the media, because white people are never gonna be like, actually, you know.
Yeah.
And we always have to remember we gave birth to white people, so we are the parent race. Yeah. And we must start behaving like the parent race and stop looking to other races who are our children for direction. So, yeah.
We are in trouble for the body politics of sexuality, a big trouble. What advice would you give to a girl who's growing up in this toxic culture?
It's so scary because they don't listen to us.
Yeah.
They don't listen to us. So there's no point in even advising them. They just don't listen to us, and then they get burnt. And then, so I don't know. I just feel as if some of the African value systems like Ubuntu, we need to start being clear about, guys, as Africans, we don't do this. And we start being loud and magnifying what it is to be an African, how we do things, you know? Like even now saying about this conversation about first name basis.
Yeah.
It should be we should have Bibles. We should know what African culture is. Good to know. And then you just keep it moving. Yeah. There's always I send the ganja, guys. Isn't this tin, guys? Oh, okay. So we need to go back to what is this into? What are our morals and values? And if we need to put it in a book, then it's time to put it in a book so that we know, guys, Tina, we don't do this.
To what extent do you personally take responsibility for maybe people who could have misinterpreted you and lived the way they did in your activism?
Okay, you're talking about the rape campaign.
Yeah, generally, yeah. You know, you speaking for the women, and they may not understand from which place you're coming from.
Yes. I mean freedom, because I was kind of like the voice of the freedom
Yes.
of women being bold. And I love the little girls that have come out. I mean, when I look at Bosima and how outspoken and they just there, you know, I love that. But there's also my body, my rules. And then when they do my body, my rules, then...
And they're doing it in your name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and I'm like, no, not like that. You know, your rules must still be guided, you know, but it's my choice.
Yeah.
You can still make a bad choice. So,
do you feel you could have maybe explained your message more?
I feel
or clarify it?
I feel that there was always a deliberate attack by the media on my name. And I feel that there was a deliberate misunderstanding that was put out. So what I don't know. I think I can use my voice better or magnify it more, especially now that at least it's the age of social media. So now the media doesn't have as much power as it used to. But I think that my work has been used against me in the wrong ways. Yes.
You've got other women who have falsely accused men of rape and not really in your name, but you've been the advocate. You know, they run, they come, you know, under your umbrella.
Yeah.
And
no, I've seen that people abuse that.
Yeah.
But me personally, I've never falsely accused anyone of rape.
Yeah.
I do believe that you need to stand up for victims. I think that victims don't have a voice.
Yeah,
and I think that when you've been violated, that's when you need protection the most.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that we have women who lie. And we saw even with the Sizwe Dlomo situation where it played out like that. And we're like, whoa, you know. So it's sad that we have to recognize that there are some devious women who are going to lie. So for me, I'm vigilant now in not just supporting anybody and everybody, but making sure of facts and hearing the full story. But I do think that the victim should always have people next to them, because to be violated, and especially sexually, is a very traumatic experience. So it's sad what men and women have done.
Yeah. There's a beautiful concept you were sharing last time. I was in awe. The connection between a woman and land.
Yes.
You know, that spiritual fertility. Yes. Why women would go work the land, because it becomes fertile because of special energy. Can you please expand on that?
Okay, so it's actually just science. It's the way it is. And I did even say in that last podcast that they must try it, that the blood of a woman, the reason that women were tilling the land is not because of some sexist thing where men are lazy or whatever. It's because through observation, and that's what science is, I guess.
Yeah.
Through observation, they realized that when the drops of blood ended up on the earth, it would produce more. So that is why we call Mother Nature and we call the earth her.
Yeah.
Because it's just science.
Yeah.
It's natural sciences. That's why the land has gone barren, because the men are tilling the land now.
And there's this notion that when a woman is in her period, she is dirty, you know.
That's when a woman is most powerful.
Absolutely.
That's when, because
no. She's not supposed to touch certain things. She's not supposed to enter certain spaces.
The reason they say that, it's not because she's dirty. The reason they say that is because when you are on your period, that's when spiritually you're at your strongest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever space you're going to get into, you're going to mess up any intentions that are
high
there.
vibrations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in fact, when you've got important things to do or fights as a woman, you should take that's why it's so nice when you got your period, because that's also when we fight the most. Well, obviously you guys have noticed.
Yeah. There's no go area.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that is when the rise of our power is. So yes, you wouldn't want somebody powerful coming into your
Yeah.
space because they're going to overpower everything. That's why they say the meat don't work when you've got your period.
Because you are heightened, your energy levels
Exactly.
are heightened.
But it's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Women must never make anyone make them feel ashamed of that.
Yeah.
That is at our highest power when we've got our period.
How many women have the fear of growing old? When the age goes up,
Yes.
they have this phobia. What has been your experience and what's your view?
I think that's a very media outlook and again, very Western. Maturing as a woman is a very beautiful experience, you know. You start getting comfortable in your skin. You start knowing what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You start coming out more. I mean, even I remember sexually as a young girl or young woman, because not quite having sex as a girl, but you are shy in bed and you don't say, you just kind of lay there. And
I get.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you're older, you like, oh, well, for me to get off, this is what I need to do. you know?
Yeah.
So you get
You're
more
owning it.
You own it.
Yeah.
You become more expressive. You know how to work your body and, you know, you just know how to express yourself more the older you get. And I mean, what's scary about getting old is watching your body get old.
Yeah.
Like now there's like lines and you're just like, oh my God, it's scary.
Yeah.
But in terms of the spiritual and the feeling, once you are over the vanity, it's actually quite a beautiful.
You embrace it.
It's quite a beautiful
as you go.
process.
Yeah. But also, I think our culture, this toxic culture as well, it puts so much pressure on women.
Yes.
You know, even for men, they'll always, you know, bring that comparison between the young and the old. That is why they probably want to remain.
The men also get old. I don't know why, but I get a bit.
Yeah.
but
it's
old.
not.
I know.
Doesn't
it's
matter.
a sexist
Well,
thing.
they've got money.
Yes, it's a sexist thing. I don't know. I feel as if that's why I say you need to work on your inside.
Yeah.
You know, because the older you get, the more power you possess, actually.
Does sex get better as you get older as well?
Absolutely. 100%.
Listen to yourself.
100%. And it also, and I wish somebody had warned me, because around 30, you start getting a bit more hornier. Yo, by 40, it's a fucking...
Is that so?
Yo.
By 40, we thought it's going down. Yeah.
It's actually the other way around. It's men who go down. Women, we go up. So that's why, you know, it's amazing how women hold themselves with such dignity.
Yeah.
With how buck the vagina is every single day. Like, so it's like, whoa. It's like, behave. You're just like, just fucking, you look at men sexually all the time. You're just like, freaking behave yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so really, no, it's more exciting the older you get. Sex is more exciting the older you get as a woman.
How important is it for one to understand their sexuality, particularly as a woman?
Yes.
Understanding your sexuality to a point where you don't violate your sexual chakras.
Yes.
Understanding that when you engage, this is the highest form of consciousness.
Women must remember that men enter us. Therefore, you have to be conscious of the fact that you're collecting all this aura, all this.
Who's collecting the men?
The woman.
Okay.
Because the man is just one side.
Yeah.
So it's important for you not to be all over the place with it and taking so much, because that's really, it's you then become a dustbin.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody's just peeing in you, everybody. So there is also a lot of power in celibacy, you know, as a woman, and men, because that energy can be used, sexual energy. Just sex, Nje, is such a sacred and beautiful thing, because also what you can do is with your partner, you know how you can manifest things, you know, it's a ritual.
Using the sexual energy.
Yes, it's a ritual. That's why women are also so vulnerable because of sexual assault. because that's quite a violent thing. So, wow, that is like a gem. Your VJJ is like a gem that you've got to protect and look after and think about all the time, and you must love it, Sometimes we're scared of our own vaginas. We can't even look at them because we're just like, oh my God, But I encourage women to learn how to value their vaginas, and love them and look after them and wash them and don't put things in them and because they're always trying to make them smell differently. And I'm just like, no, your smell is nice. And if you want to change your smell, then eat garlic or eat pineapple, then your smell will, or have herbs. Then you can manage the smell. But don't put things in your vagina because your vagina is a very sacred portal. It's a freaking portal.
Yeah.
Human beings come out of there. Like, that is wild. A whole human being, like all these grown men that are in this room, come out the vagina, And from the spirit world, that's what's so deep about it, even worse. We are a portal between the spirit world and the physical world.
Yeah. What type of men appeal to you?
Because I'm quite a strong character, I need power. Because then I'm going to walk all over you.
And how do you contextualize power in this regard?
There's different types of power. I mean, I need a man's man. And, it sounds terrible, but I really like, because there are normal men, and I need a man who's at the top of something, doing something. Like, I do need a boss because I'm a boss. And if I go for someone weaker, and I don't mean weaker because there's different types of people. There are women who are not like me. Yeah. And they are, we all what's this word? Kind of when things go together, compatible.
Yeah, yes.
So we're all different types. I'm not and also in that power, the power mustn't be aggressive also because I'm aggressive.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I was gonna come to.
Yes.
Where do we draw the line to issues of respect?
No, see now, like, I do well with a quiet person, but he has to be powerful. Mm-hmm. So you can't just be quiet and then not hustling anything. He has to be quiet, but very powerful, so that when I walk I'm like, Baba.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that when women are treated well and when we love our person, we have no problem with submission whatsoever. You're just like, oh, what can I do for you? Oh my God. So it's really like that when you love someone.
Men would argue that I want a woman who gives me peace.
Yes.
Who gives me peace.
Yes.
And some would say, no. I've heard somebody say, no, you don't want peace. You want somebody that you can control.
Yes. That's why I was saying that.
But peace, like literally peace, meaning you understand, as a man, you are respected. You are put in your place as well as a man.
That's why I say that.
How you talk to me.
Respect is always got to be there in a relationship. No matter what. But that's what I was saying, that we've all got different characters. Some of us are extroverted, some of us are introverted, some of us are aggressive, some of us are not. So you've always got to make sure that go for your opposite if you want peace.
Yeah.
So now I know that I'm loud and I bulldoze. I know that I need someone quiet.
Yeah.
So I can be the star of the show.
Yeah.
And some men, they know that, wow, I'm a lion. So I need a woman. Yeah, I need someone who's going to quiet me. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Know yourself so that you go choose something that's going to, a puzzle piece that's going to fit into who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have contributed in writing a book recently. What is the book about?
No, that's actually from long ago. Black Consciousness Thoughts.
So it's long. It's been there.
Ago. Okay. It's like maybe during COVID or something.
Okay.
It's just that
it's only now. It's
yes.
Yeah.
Like remember I said to you that I seem to I don't know if the word is ahead of my time, but I get to spots quicker,
Yes, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then the people catch on with what I was saying.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening with the Black consciousness thoughts. It's a thing we did long ago with Bo Andile Mutama, Baba Ubuntu, Black Nolly, kind of who else was there? Tando Sipuye. So all these Black consciousness writers just
Yeah.
to be a chapter of our generation, you know, because when we think of just Black consciousness, we're thinking of Bo, Steve Biko, Mangaliso Sobukwe, it's generations ago. So we need to ensure that people know, Hore, it's a concept that is ever living, and every
Absolutely, yeah.
generation have got their own.
What's the book called?
Black Consciousness Thoughts, and it's online. And if you need a copy, because it's free,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
can just
Black
send you the
Consciousness Thoughts, yeah.
yeah, volume 1.
There's this man, I didn't know you know him, but I was not surprised that you know him. But during his passing, you went all the way to make sure that he gets a good send-off. An amazing man I met. We did many countless shows together.
Gonna make me cry.
Mochologo, Dr. Zulu, Matabo Zulu. Tell us about him.
Cry. It's so funny because I was thinking about him this morning. And I acknowledge his spirit here in the room as well. Oh man, you know, our greatest heroes are the most humble ones. And because they're humble, then there's no noise around them. And because they're saying the right things, the media's not going to platform them, because the things that they're saying are going to elevate Black people. And Dr. Zulu was one of the most important intellectuals of our time. And I hope that Madisebo University is resurrected and we build it up. You know, we don't have many African scientists. And he's on the same level as Bokredo Mutwa. He's on the same level as all our greatest healers.
Yeah.
And it was such a privilege. And the funny thing about him is that I only knew him maybe 18 months.
Wow. Is that so?
I'm telling you guys, I met him 18 months before he passed on. And from the moment I met him, I just knew that I need to use my platforms so that we can disseminate the information, and that was just so sacred. You know how our ancestors work. I never take responsibility for the things I say or do because I know it's not me. I mean, I'm not that smart, but we are guided. And we are guided to the places that we're supposed to go to and the people that we're supposed to elevate. And thank you for bringing him up.
An amazing man whose shoulders we stand right now. I've had a great privilege to sip from his cup of wisdom. But we thank you for ensuring that, and many others, but you, I know you led that organization, that he gets a proper send-off. Thank you, Ntsiki Mazwai, for being a torchbearer to our generation. When you are a torchbearer, you run the risk of offending some, but also building some. You have inspired us and so many other people, men and women. Thank you for allowing us to tap into you. And we give thanks to those who came before you. Keep on doing this amazing work. That's how we come to the end of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Please subscribe to the channel to make sure that we grow. We'll make our best to bring you the best quality content. My name is Semex Amaku.